Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something a little different off my office here because I'm going to try and make some improvements to my PC, my desktop PC that I use editing my videos for YouTube. So I use Pinnacle Studio 22 editing software. And when I first bought this software, I quickly discovered I couldn't run it on my existing computer because my existing computer was old enough that it wasn't a 32-bit machine or something like that. I forgot what the heck it was. There was some limitation. It had to do with the amount of bits. So I ended up picking up this Dell Optiplex 9020. Got a pretty good deal on it. I bought it off of eBay, but as luck would have it, I bought it off a guy who was right in the city, so he was only about 20 minutes away. Met up with him and was able to take delivery in person for it from him, which, you know, you always feel a little bit better when you can meet somebody face to face. You don't have to wait for it to come in as a shipment and then open the box and find out there's something wrong. Felt pretty confident that because he was meeting me face to face, that if I did end up having an issue with it, he would probably be willing to resolve it. He was clearly a guy who worked in IT or something like that, or some sort of computer support at a large company. Probably they ended up changing out a bunch of computers, and they probably had these laying around, and he probably got them for a song. I think he might have had more than one at one point. Let's take a quick look at the desktop. We'll go into Windows. We'll see what the specs are of this computer right now, and then I'll do some tests, some speed tests best that I can. Then we'll make the modifications, and then we'll try and do the same tests under the same conditions again to see what, if any, improvements we were able to make. Alright, so this is using an Intel Core i7-4770 CPU at 3.4 gigahertz. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM installed, and it is a 64-bit operating system. That's what it was. It's my old computer was a 32-bit, so this is a 64-bit operating system, which is what I need to run Pinnacle. And this is Windows 10 Pro Edition, which the gentleman I bought the computer from, he furnished that with this computer. Graphics, we've got apparently something going on here for a GPU, because we've got on the desktop AMD Radeon Settings, and if I click on that and go over here to System, it's telling me that it's running Crimson. The graphics chipset is the AMD Radeon HD 8570, 1024 megabytes, so 1 gig of RAM. Memory type is DDR3. The clock speed is 780 megahertz, 16 gigabytes of memory. Intel processor. So we're getting the same information here as we just got elsewhere. But it is telling us that apparently there is 1 gig of video memory, and that we do have a AMD Radeon HD 8570 chipset. Okay. The native hard drive, drive C, is a 500 gig drive, and it's pretty chock full. When editing videos with all these video clips and everything, it takes up a lot of room, so I'm actually using a external Seagate expansion drive for storing overflow video clips and also for archiving purposes. It's one of several drives I use for archiving. This is a 2 terabyte drive, and as you can see, it's about 3/4 or a little over 3/4 full. So here's what it looks like. It's a I think this is called a mini AT case or ATX case. I don't remember the terminology. All I know is that it's a nice small case, but that means that you're limited to the types of things you can buy for expansion. In other words, there are certain graphics cards that if this motherboard were a full-size board in a big case, I could put larger graphics cards in there that I can't even think about putting in this case. So this is the Seagate 2 terabyte drive. This is my card reader that I use to read. It's a very cheap one. I've had this forever. I use it to read the card from my cameras. Because of the age, this probably is very slow. I know it takes a long time when that card gets full to transfer all of that video to the PC. That's something that maybe down the road, get a faster card reader. I don't know what USB version these are, but I know that they have faster ones now. I'm just going to go ahead and eject the external drive, get that out of the way. Looks like 20 seconds. Now let's see how fast it can open Pinnacle Studio. Actually, I should have waited until that went away. But we could say probably around 16 or 17 seconds. 13 seconds on that try, but that's probably because some of the stuff was already loaded. So one of the other things I can do here in Studio is I can actually increase the time. So I took this 10-minute and 35-second clip and I increased the time by 500%. So this is now going 5 times fast. I want you to notice up here in the preview window how choppy it is. When this video actually would be published, it works smoothly. It's just the preview. You know, I wonder if that's going to improve when I put in the dedicated video card, which, you know, is going to have more speed and memory. Alright, so this next test I'm going to do is I'm going to see how long it takes for it to render this movie. This is a video I did on Craftsman drill press that I was working on, and it is just under 24 minutes long total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this movie, and then what I'll do is I'll delete the exported movie and I'll do it again. Go. Alright, so it's just passing 9%. So let's see when it hits the 10% mark. At 1 minute 55 seconds. If we just figure 2 minutes per 10%, then it's looking like it's going to be on track to take 20 minutes to render this video. Well, I'm coming up on the 10-minute mark on my timer here on my phone. It's going to take more than 20 minutes to render this. Just hit 50% in just about 12 minutes. Alright, we're coming up on 100%. Now we'll call it 22 minutes 45 seconds. So the next question I had to answer for myself was, what exactly do I want to do to this computer to try and improve its performance? But at the same time, I don't want to spend a ton of money on upgrades for this computer because it is an older PC, and I might want to build a better PC down the road with more modern components. So I did a little bit of research, and what I came up with was that the two main improvements I could make on this PC that should help with my video editing would be increasing the amount of RAM and getting a GPU. Now, regarding the RAM, the problem is there are only 4 slots in this PC, and I believe 2 of them are currently occupied. And because I want all 4 sticks of RAM, I want all 4 slots filled, and I want all 4 sticks of RAM to match, I'm going to end up taking the sticks that are in here out and putting in 4 sticks. So what can I put in there? Well, again, don't want to go crazy with the money, and also don't want to buy the dirt cheapest RAM I could find. I want to get something that's decent. So what I settled on, found these on Amazon. These are ATEC premium memory, and I actually was able to find a site that showed that this particular RAM apparently plays nicely with this computer. So what this is this is a kit that has two 8 gig sticks in it for a total of 16 gigabyte, and I bought 2 of them. So I'm going to increase my RAM to 32 gigabytes. So that should be an improvement. This is DDR3. Again, I already checked. It's supposed to be fully compatible. Should have no problems working with this computer. The going rate for these right now, these are still available. They're about $53 or $54 a pack. So it's like $108 for what I've got right here. I want to say that I think I actually paid a little less, because I think when I ordered the 2 that there might have been a little bit of a discount. And I think also prices might have gone up on some of this stuff. I know for a fact right now, because we're so close to Christmas time, that there is an insane price hike on GPUs. The street price for a lot of these graphics cards has gone way up above what they were retailing for just several months ago. Apparently there's a shortage, and with everybody wanting to build gaming PCs for Christmas, for the holidays, I guess the prices are going crazy. So what was the other improvement I wanted to make? The other improvement was the GPU, graphics card. Because of the size of the case, I had to be careful with what I chose. So I ended up finding a graphics card that is a compact card. And in addition to it being a compact card, so that I know it will fit in here, it was also a very highly rated card when it first came out. This is a Gigabyte GeForce GT 1030. Apparently it has 2 gigs of memory on it, so that's a big improvement over essentially doubling what was on the RAM for video in this thing now. This card is still trading for $85. $85 is not that expensive for a good GPU. So those of you who are laughing at this old school technology, I mean, it's really not that old school. Basically what I did was I looked at what the top 10 like GPUs were that were available like 5 years ago or something like that. And then I look at that list, and then I see that, you know, this card was much more money when it first came out. So good enough for my little project right here. That's it. I thought about another hard drive. I might still put another hard drive in there. Right now, I'm just going to go with this and see how this works out for me. So the case on this thing's pretty cool, I think. So you've got these 2 metal pieces right here with a hole through them that you could put a padlock in. And that's what keeps somebody from opening up this case. Because you just pull on this, and this pops right open. And you can see the problem. There is not a lot of real estate to work with in here. So there is the GPU, the graphics card. I call these were called graphics card back in my day, kids. Now they're saying GPU, which is a graphics processing unit. I think of the GPU as just being the chip on this card, but I digress. Let's see if we can find out where the RAM's hiding in this thing. All right, I could see 2 slots. One is occupied right when I look straight down here. So it looks like I've got to get underneath this drive bay. So I guess I'm going to take out the DVD writer first. Oh, okay, it comes out the back. So just pull that up. I guess I could just flip this out of the way like this. I don't need to disconnect it right now. Well, this is pretty cool how this comes apart. So to remove the drive bays, there's a blue piece of plastic here with a U-shaped, well actually it's a square-shaped hole. You stick your finger in, you push back, that actually releases this plastic piece with the keyhole shaped hole from this pin, and now that allows this to just be pulled up, and it looks like, yeah, it looks like the
This cable right here is not going to be long enough to let that happen. Definitely looks like it's the SATA cable. So I just unplugged that. All right, and then this is the power plug to the drive. I'm going to unplug that. And now the whole drive bay comes out, and that little doohickey in there doesn't look like much, but that little doohickey in there is the hard drive. And this must be the bay for an additional drive. We've got 2 slots here, 1 occupied, and 2 slots here, 1 occupied. So interesting, they have 1 memory module in each of the 2 banks. Putting these in and filling up these slots is known as populating. They must have a reason why they want you to populate these sockets in a certain order. So I can see the numbers right here silk screened on the board. There's a 2 and a 4 and a 1 and a 3 back here. So actually this is 1 and this is 2. And then 3 is this one back here that's empty, and then 4 is this one back here that's empty. So even though they look like they're separated to me, I guess electrically they're closer than we thought. Or than I thought anyways. I want to take precaution for any static discharge that could damage the electronics. So it's not uncommon for guys who do this kind of work for a living to have a wrist strap that has a wire attached to it and then a connector on the end, and they make sure that that connector is in a known ground or good ground. However, I've found in the past that typically holding on to the metal case is enough to discharge any possible static electricity that may be in my body that could damage the devices. So the way I'm going to take these out is just a matter of these little white plastic pieces on the end. If I push down and outward, kind of like this way, on both of these, they will simultaneously unlock from the grooves on the sides of these memory modules, and also act to push them up out of their sockets. So I don't know if you saw that or not, but it just kind of lifted it up. So there's 1 and there's 2. So in case you're curious, what was in here was Samsung memory, and it's clearly marked that it's a 8 gig stick. It's PC3-12800U. It doesn't say the speed. The new memory is DDR3 PC3 12800 DIMM 1600 megahertz, 8 gig. So the same size memory, but I think it's a little bit faster. Probably not going to really see much of a difference. I should have mentioned this before. You want to make sure that you get the right type of memory. Again, I went and used a compatibility sheet that I found on a website that showed what memory works in what PCs type of thing. This type of memory is non-ECC, unbuffered. It doesn't say unbuffered here, but I'm pretty sure that I remembered reading that about this. The non-ECC, I think ECC stands for, I think, error correction control or something like that. And I guess on certain applications you need memory that has that. I guess if you were like doing computations, to make sure your jet doesn't crash, that kind of stuff. Anyways, so I'm going to install these now. So putting these in is pretty idiot proof. There is a break in the row of contacts right here where there aren't any pins, and that's actually a piece of plastic. The way this is molded, it's so that you can't put this memory in backwards. If we look on the memory card on the module, you'll see a slot right there. That slot is where that piece of plastic lives. And you'll notice it's not halfway between, so that's what keeps you from being able to put this in backwards, like I almost just did. So I'm going to gently push down on the card. There we go. So my little clips are clicked back into place. So those clips, when they clip back in, they actually go into these little slots right here. So now I have all 4 of my modules installed. So I put the old RAM in here for safekeeping, and I'll look up later to see if it has any value on the open market, and then I could throw it up on eBay, but it might not even be worth my time. It might be not really worth anything, and if that's the case, it is still worth something because it's worth something as computer scrap. This is considered high grade PC board when it comes to scrap value, because of the fact that these little fingers right here are all gold plated. So there's gold on them there fingers. Alright, my drive is now hooked back up. Now I need to go after the graphics card. Looks like in order to get the graphics card out, this plastic piece here must... Oh, there we go, that just pops. Oh, that's neat. It just pops up. So in the old days, we would have had a screw here holding that in. So that is the metal blade that's actually part of the back of the board that actually also blocks off that slot in the back and is where the plug goes for the monitor, which I'll show you in a moment. So now, with that unlatched, I should be able to pull straight up and lift this board out. There is a plastic clip right down here where my finger is that I'm going to pull out this way. And it's not a clip like the memory module ones, it's just a spring-loaded little plastic piece. Not really much to it. Oh man, that's tight. There we go. Alright. So there's that metal blade I was talking about. It's got the plugs. Now you see there's this big opening right there. And there it is, the Radeon graphics card. Again, this is all gold. So even on an old graphics card, if you have any old I/O cards for PCs, you can sell them for scrap. There's the new one in this bag. This bag has a special coating on it. It makes it anti-static. They don't want you generating static electricity in the process of opening this bag or sliding the thing in and out. Ground myself again. Doesn't look very different than the one we just took out, does it? Not really. Okay, so now got to pull off this protective guard. Do a quick eyeball side-by-side comparison here just to make sure that it looks like it's going to plug in okay. Yeah, it looks like that's the right kind of plug and everything. This board's even a little bit smaller than this one. So all I need to do is get the board and seat it fully. And something is very wrong here. Why the hell did I not notice that? That is not gonna, that dog ain't gonna hunt. What the hell am I doing? Look at this. How did I not see that? I just did a side-by-side comparison. Didn't you guys see it? How come somebody didn't stop me? The heck is... Well, that's not good. Ah. Hey, so turns out, I guess they figured that you might need to deal with this. You just unscrew this, and inside the box with the instructions is the short version. And again, it's just one screw and the two, they're standoffs really is what they're like, hexagonal ones. I think it's easier to get this screw in if you leave these out so you can move that plate around a little bit. Might be wrong. Alright, there's one problem overcome. But I have another one that I just noticed. This plug on the back does not have 4 holes over here next to that slot. I'm running this really old monitor that we were just laughing at earlier, right? You guys were all laughing at what an old Chromium monitor I had, right? Well, anyways, so I've been using this adapter to get around that. But look at my adapter. My adapter has 4 extra pins. 2 to the left and 2 to the right of that vertical little tab. I can't put this on that. So apparently, I'm gonna check and see if my newer monitor has the correct plug. This does have HDMI output, so I could run this on a TV monitor that has HDMI, but I really don't want to do that. The only extra TV I have up here is kind of a not so great older one. Probably has something to do with the fact that this is an adapter to go from crummy old technology to more modern. Yep, bet you that's it. Because see this plug? This plug will plug into that, no problem. This is the plug on my formerly aforementioned Dell Ultra Sharp monitor, which I really liked, but has started to give me problems. So I think it'll stay on long enough for me to do some tests though. All right, to install the board, all I have to do is line it up, make sure that it's started in the slots correctly, and then I don't even have to pull this tab aside because the tab's designed so that when I push the board down, the tab will move out of the way and then snap back into where it's supposed to be. Like that. That's it. That is now in. Now we flip this up. I already had reinstalled my DVD read-write drive. So this thing's actually back together and we can fire this thing up and see what happens. Alright, so I was getting that message, so I decided to go into the BIOS because it said that, hey, alert that the amount of memory has changed. And it said, do I want to press F1 to proceed, or F2 to go into setup, or F5 to run diagnostics? Well, I hit F2 just to go into setup, and when I look at system information, it's clearly showing me that it's detecting all 4 modules of 8 gigs each, giving me a total of 32 gigabytes available. So I think we're good to go. I think I can just exit out of this and boot. Alright, I don't know why it did that, but it just shut off when I hit exit. Is that normal? I hope so. That looks pretty good. Alright, it's supper time. I'm going to go have my supper, and then when I come back, we're going to run some tests. Alright, let's try the boot time test and see how that does. That seemed a little quicker. Let's see how fast it opens Pinnacle Studio. That seems about the same. I don't know if the microphone's picking up, I don't know if the camera mic's picking up that unusual noise, but that's actually my PC speakers. My cell phone, when it's in close proximity to the wiring for my PC speakers, picks up this weird noise. Alright, so before I can do any more test comparisons, I want to load the new drivers that came on the disc that was in the box with the graphics card. I've also hooked up another monitor to the HDMI output, but I'm not getting any signal yet. But I figure that might be a setting that I can fix after the new drivers are installed. Okay, I got all the drivers installed, and I actually have dual monitor capability with this. So I've got the malfunctioning Dell still hooked up over here. I had to resize the screen over here. So this is just a cheap Toshiba TV that has HDMI input that I'm using for a second monitor. So the picture quality is not so great here. I actually had to turn down the brightness or something to make that not all washed out. But I think that's just the monitor, because if I move this over to the other screen, as I can see over here on the old Dell monitor, picture quality is good. Getting back to our testing, if I take a clip and I resize that clip, this video preview is still choppy. Well, that looks like it's going to bail. That's the problem I mentioned a while back. Well, that's interesting. It's not bailing, it's just hanging. So the problem I would occasionally run into previously, there you go, is it would just bail. So that problem, that issue was not solved by these improvements, by increasing the RAM and putting a better, bigger video card in there. Well, doesn't that stink? I restart Studio, usually it
picks up right where I left off when it crashed. Usually stores most of the work that I did. Oh, it's taking forever to load now. So this is the section I had sped up, and it's still here. Let's try and play that again, just for the heck of it.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, it's working now. But now it's not doing that weird thing. So it's free. It froze now just because it's caught up to the area that I hadn't resized this section of the video clip. All right. So now for the final test, I'm going to render the same video clips into a finished video that I did before the modifications to see if it's any quicker. I'm just going to change the name of the outputted video to put a V2 on the end there. That way I'll know which one is which. There shouldn't be any difference between the videos once they're completed. This is mainly what I'm hoping to see is a larger increase, an increase in the speed it takes to do this job. So I think last time it took about 24 minutes. It does look like it's going faster. That's a 1 minute right there, and it's already up to 6%. All right, we'll check on this in a couple of minutes. Well, this is a little disconcerting. Coming up on there's 10.5 minutes right there, and I'm only at 43%. So I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to come in around the same time as last time, which would mean that my doubling the RAM in this thing and adding the better graphics card doesn't seem to have done anything as far as improve the performance of the time it takes to render the video. And just about at 50%, right there. 15 seconds shy of 12 minutes, which is, what, 12 times 2? 24 minutes? I think that's what we got for the first try, right? That's a bummer. And there we go, 100%, 22.5 minutes. In case you're wondering why I'm not using this time right over here, even though it says 23:57:22, it's actually pretty close to this timer. I noticed at that time the seconds were counting way faster than actual seconds. So I don't understand why that is, but it doesn't really matter. So, of course, we'll have to compare this to what I did on the first try, but I don't think it was that much of an improvement, if any at all. So in summation, increasing the RAM from 16 gigabytes to 32 gigabytes and putting in a GPU that has 2 gig of RAM on board instead of 1 gig of RAM and is a faster processor on the GPU essentially did nothing as far as increasing the performance of my Pinnacle Studio editing software, which is the reason why I wanted to do this modification in the first place. So if you're thinking that this is going to help your situation, I would think twice. Now, that's not to say that the video quality on this monitor on the right, which is malfunctioning currently, does appear to be nicer. I'm sure if I decided to use this for gaming, it would be better than it was before. Alright, so we're going to call this video a wrap. If you like this content, please hit the like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.